He ran into fires so you never had to. He did it for 20 years. And on one quiet Sunday morning, the building took him.
We begin tonight in the early hours of this morning when comrades in uniform helped with the dignified transfer of firefighter Bobby Kilduff Jr. as his body was moved from the Boston Medical Center to the medical examiner's office. Like his father and grandfather before him, Kilduff chose to be a Boston firefighter, continuing his life of public service after a stint in the Marine Corps. He died last night after falling from the third floor of a house in Dorchester where he was helping to knock down a 3-alarm blaze. Good evening to you. I'm Ken McLeod. Kilduff's comrades say he had rescued 2 people in just the last 48 hours. Here's WBZ's Paul Burton.
Some mornings begin like any other. The sun comes up slowly. Birds make their quiet sounds. People in their homes are still sleeping, still dreaming, still wrapped in the warmth of their beds. But on the morning of May 24th, 2026, something was very wrong in a quiet neighborhood in Boston. Before most people had finished their first cup of coffee, thick black smoke began rising above the rooftops of Dorchester. It curled up into the early morning sky, dark and heavy, like a warning that nobody had time to prepare for. Emergency calls started coming in fast. A fire was growing inside a multi-story residential building, and it was not slowing down. Within minutes, sirens filled the streets. Fire trucks moved quickly through the neighborhood. Firefighters arrived at the scene and stepped out into the cool morning air, already looking up at the building, already reading the smoke, already thinking about the people who might still be inside. This is what they do. This is who they are. They do not wait. They do not hesitate. They go in. To most people watching from the sidewalk, what happened next looked like a standard fire response. Hose lines were stretched across the ground. Firefighters moved through the front entrance and disappeared into the dark smoke. Radios crackled with voices calling out positions, reporting conditions, coordinating the work happening both inside and outside the building. Older neighborhoods like Dorchester carry a kind of quiet beauty, rows of homes that have stood for many decades, full of history and memories. But those same old homes also carry hidden dangers. Aging wood, walls and floors that have weakened over the years. Hidden spaces inside ceilings and walls where fire can travel silently, burning through the inside of a structure long before anyone realizes how serious the damage has become. The firefighters who entered that building that morning knew this. They were trained for it. They had done this many times before. But even preparation cannot protect against everything. Among the crew responding that morning was a man named Robert Kilduff Jr. He was assigned to Rescue Company 2, one of the Boston Fire Department's most specialized units. These are the firefighters called in when conditions are especially dangerous, when a building is collapsing, when someone is trapped deep inside a structure, when ordinary rescue is not enough. Robert was not new to this work. Before he ever wore a firefighter's uniform, he wore the uniform of a United States Marine. He served his country with discipline and dedication, and when that chapter of his life ended, he brought everything he had learned, the focus, the courage, the quiet strength, into a new life of service. He joined the Boston Fire Department and stayed for more than 20 years. Over 2 decades, Robert Kilduff became the kind of firefighter that others looked to in hard moments. Not because he was loud or dramatic, but because he was steady. He was the person in the room who had been there before, who knew what to do, who could be trusted when everything around him was falling apart. His coworkers knew this. His community knew this. And on the morning of May 24th, 2026, the building he entered knew it too, even if it gave him nothing in return. Inside the building, things got worse very quickly. Smoke had already filled the hallways and stairwells by the time crews moved through the upper floors. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Firefighters navigated by touch, by instinct, by the voices of their teammates. Thermal imaging cameras helped them see through the darkness, scanning for heat, for movement, for any sign of life. The third floor became the center of everything. It is not always easy to explain what it feels like inside a burning building. The heat is overwhelming in ways that are hard to describe. The noise is both loud and muffled at the same time. Every second feels important. Every step matters. There is no room for hesitation, and yet the ground beneath your feet may already be giving way without you knowing it. Fire does not announce itself. It works quietly beneath surfaces, eating through the wood and support structures that hold a floor in place. A surface can look solid and still be seconds away from failing. In thick smoke, with zero visibility and intense heat, there is almost no way to know until it is too late. Something went wrong near the third floor. Radio communications grew more urgent. Voices outside the building changed. Firefighters who had been working calmly and efficiently suddenly shifted into a different kind of movement, faster, more desperate. One of their own was in danger. Rescue efforts began immediately. Crews moved toward the area where Robert had last been reported. Emergency medical personnel positioned themselves nearby, ready. Every second felt stretched out, heavy with the kind of fear that people who love someone carry when they realize something terrible may have already happened. And then, in one of those moments that nobody can fully prepare for, Robert Kilduff fell from the structure. Firefighters reached him right away. Medical teams rushed to his side. Everything that could be done was done, with full urgency and full care. But sometimes, no matter how fast you move, it is not enough. Robert Kilduff Jr., a veteran of both military service and more than 20 years of firefighting, was gone. He died doing the work he had chosen, in the service of people he would never meet, inside a building that had given him no warning before it took everything from him. In the hours and days that followed, the grief was quiet and deep. Firefighters from across the city stood outside their stations. Memorial tributes began appearing almost immediately. Flowers, candles, handwritten notes placed near firehouses and at the scene. Flags were lowered. Officials from across Massachusetts spoke publicly about Robert's life and service, trying to find words big enough to match the loss. There are no words that big. But people tried anyway, because that is what we do when someone gives their life in service to others. We gather. We remember. We honor the person they were and the choice they made every single day they put on that uniform. Preparations for funeral and memorial services began quickly. Fire departments from multiple states were expected to participate. Traditional ceremonies were planned. The final radio call, the bell tribute, the formal procession. These rituals exist for a reason. They say, in the clearest possible way, this person mattered. This life had weight. This loss is real. While the community mourned, investigators began the slow, careful work of understanding what happened inside that building. They examined the structure of the third floor. They looked at how old the building was, how it had been maintained, whether any repairs or renovations over the years had weakened its core. They reviewed radio communications, searching for the moment things began to change. They listened to witness accounts, gathered photographs, studied the fire's path through the building. Fire investigation is patient work. It asks hard questions and waits quietly for answers. Did fire weaken the floor before crews entered? Were there hidden problems inside the walls and ceilings that no one could have detected from the outside? Could the structure have given any warning? And if so, was there any way to hear it? These questions are not just about what happened to Robert. They are about what might happen to the next firefighter and the one after that. Every tragedy like this carries lessons inside it, painful and difficult lessons, but important ones. The fire service takes these lessons seriously because the cost of not learning them is measured in lives. What this story reminds us, quietly and clearly, is something we already know but sometimes forget. Firefighters are not invincible. They are human beings, people with families, with memories, with mornings they wake up just like the rest of us. They carry fear the same way anyone does. The difference is what they choose to do with it. They choose to go toward the fire instead of away from it. They choose the building over the sidewalk, the trapped stranger over personal safety, the alarm over the silence of staying home. Robert Kilduff Jr. made that choice for more than 20 years. He made it as a Marine before that. And he made it one final time on the morning of May 24th, 2026, when he walked into a burning building in Dorchester and gave everything he had left to give. The investigation will continue for some time yet. Full answers may take months. Some details may never be fully known. But one thing does not need an investigation to confirm, and it does not need any more time to become clear. Robert Kilduff was a good man who lived a life of service. He protected strangers. He ran toward danger. He showed up on the worst days of other people's lives and tried to make things better. And when the building around him gave way, he was still doing exactly that. That is who he was. That is the life he built. And that is the life worth remembering. If this story moved you, please take a moment to subscribe so you never miss another story like this one. New stories are posted here every single day. Stories of courage, of loss, of the quiet heroes who walk among us. Come back tomorrow. Bring someone with you. And if this story touched your heart, please share it. Share it for Robert. Share it for every firefighter who has ever walked into a burning building. Share it so that people who would never hear this story otherwise might stop, just for a moment, and remember. Some lives deserve to be remembered by more than just the people who knew them. This is one of those lives.